Oh, go ahead and stand in the middle. I'll do this one.
That's a short
Yeah,
one.
this one easy enough.
Should have gave you this one. You want to trade?
No, no, you keep that one.
I told them to give you the poem. Remember that? You were like, what's going on?
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. She's about to walk this.
What is that about? Is yours? Oh, yeah. Be able to see it first.
Yeah.
Where's that? Bikini is going to be here or is going to be on the Gona?
Is she gonna? Is she gonna
Oh, she's here. Okay, I just saw her. She's been calling her and texting.
start the meeting? She can take it over when she gets there. We start off with roll call. Good afternoon. Thank you for attending. We are going to currently waiting for President McConnell to come. In the meantime, I am going to start tonight's meeting. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick, Mrs. Murray,
Here.
Mr. Ivory,
Here.
Mrs. Rose,
Here.
Mrs. Ross, Dr. Wilson,
Here.
and President McConnell. We have 6 present.
Thank you. May we please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Thank you. And I would like to recognize our bulletin boards made by our wonderful students. This first one here to my left is Peoria High School. To my right, Peoria High School. 7 Mindsets looks like was the theme for that. And then over here to my left, we have Sterling Jaguars. Again, running with the theme of 7 Mindsets. So shout out to Sterling and Peoria High for these unique designs. I would like to now move on to announcements, starting with Mr. Ivory.
Peoria Grow Your Own. The Peoria Grow Your Own program is now accepting new teachers candidates. Grow Your Own provides social and academic and financial assistance to qualify candidates to help them become certified teachers. The Peoria Grow Your Own program application window opens March 15th to March the 1st. Apply at tinyurl.com, Peoria AGGYO application.
Wraparound Center. Do you need support or resources? The Wraparound Center is a one-stop shop for those who need help with therapy or counseling, access to a food pantry, appointments and case management, or guidance for affordable housing. Located on the Latrobe side of Treewin. It's open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., even in the summer. Just stop by or call us at 309-282-1919.
Thank you. Assistant Principal Appreciation Week is April 7th through the 11th. Let's give a big thank you to all the amazing assistant principals at Peoria Public Schools who support our students, staff, and schools every day. Be sure to show them your appreciation. Spring break starts March 24th. Students return on Monday, April 7th, with Knoxville Center for Student Success, and Valeska Hinton returning on Monday, April 14th. Enjoy the break. You deserve it. Attention, high school student parents and guardians. If you haven't completed the FAFSA, this is your sign to get started, or ask your counselor for help if needed. Filling out the FAFSA is required for anyone seeking financial aid for college or technical schools. Reach out to your school counselor for more information.
Warrior Way Cafe. Get ready for a taste of Irish luck at Warrior Way Cafe on March 13th. This week, our award-winning culinary students are serving up a St. Patrick's Day feast you won't want to miss. Corned beef and cabbage egg rolls, shepherd's pie, and creme de menthe chocolate cake. Don't rely on luck. Make sure you stop by and grab a plate. Reserve your spot by noon on Wednesday, March 12th. You can send an email to warriorwaycafe@psd150.org to save your seat. Come hungry, leave happy, and support our future chefs. Kindergarten Roundup. Kindergarten Roundup is going wild again this year. Join us at the Peoria Zoo on Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. to get your little one ready for kindergarten. Is your enrollment paperwork ready? Visit the Kindergarten Roundup page on the PPS website to check the proof of address documents. The 25-26 school year is just around the corner. Let's make sure your kindergartner is set for success.
Thank you. Good evening. Young Authors 2025. The 2025 Young Authors Contest is underway. Let's encourage and celebrate our young PPS writers. Key dates, April 11th. Teachers will submit one winner for each primary school and 2 winners for each K through 8 school in the district to the district office. April 28th, district winners will be recognized at the Board of Education meeting. Cartwheel. Your mental well-being matters. Peoria Public School has teamed up with Cartwheel to offer free therapy sessions for students. If you're interested, simply reach out to your school principal or counselor to learn more and get started. Thank you.
Good evening. Read 30 minutes every day during spring break. Spring break is near, a time for fun, but don't forget, reading is not done. Just 30 minutes every day can take your mind so far away. Explore new worlds, both near and far. Meet heroes, dream big, and reach for the stars. So grab a book and dive right in. Let the reading adventures begin. Woodruff Culinary Arts students win State Invitational Competition. We are thrilled to announce that Woodruff Career and Technical Center Culinary Arts students have achieved an incredible milestone by winning first place at the Illinois ProStart State Invitational Competition for the 9th consecutive year. Yay! This event took place on March the 7th and 8th in Chicago and was sponsored by the Illinois Restaurant Association. The talented team of 8 culinary arts students showcased their management and cooking skills by designing a comprehensive restaurant concept, which included a detailed blueprint, a business plan, a marketing strategy, and a user-friendly app with a QR code for reservations. The icing on the cake was the delicious samples they prepared from their unique menu, impressing judges with their creativity and culinary expertise. This year, 3 students will be refining the restaurant concept named Thank you. which emphasizes vegetable forward and healthy foods as they prepare to compete with over 50 teams at the National ProStart Invitational from May the 2nd through May 4th in Baltimore. The competition is hosted by the National Restaurant Association Education Foundation. Congratulations to our students and faculty for their hard work and dedication. We look forward to seeing them shine on the national stage. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and pardon my tardiness. Sometimes driving from Springfield takes more than 1 hour. Next on our agenda, we have Remarkable Spirit A Award, and that's Mr. Josh Collins.
Thank you, President McConnell, Vice President Wilson, Dr. Carrata, board members. I appreciate it very much being able to come to you tonight to recognize one of our amazing employees. Her name is Regina Murray. She's been with us for as long as I can remember. I know she was there before I was here. Just a wonderful person. A few of the wonderful things that she does, cares for the students. We know on any bus that she gets on, those students are well taken care of. They're well cared for. She prepares fantastic meals. Whenever we do a potluck departmentally, good stuff. She makes meatloaf that is just fantastic. So much so that we had her we asked her to cater our wedding for us, and we continue to get. Everybody says, "Man, the food there was really good." They don't remember us, but they remember the food. But why we're here, a little bit somber. Yes, we're celebrating Regina, but it's also within a somber moment. But on the morning of February 14th, Regina Murray notified the administration staff at Transportation that another one of our monitors, Sean Kennedy, had not reported to work yet, and that was unusual for Sean. She's always there, especially without calling off. So Regina came to the administration and said, Sean's not here yet. I tried calling her phone. Did she call off? The answer was no. So there was some concern. This concern led to us contacting Sean's cell phone and eventually contacting Sean's family to check on her. Sean was found unconscious in her home later that morning, and she was taken to the hospital. Doctors believe she had suffered from a stroke. Unfortunately, Sean passed away on Wednesday, the 19th, but without Regina's concern for a coworker and the sense of family that we have in Transportation, the family would have not had those few precious days to spend with Sean. So we want to make sure that we recognize Regina and her efforts. I'd also ask everyone to keep Regina in your prayers as we stand here celebrating Regina. Her daughter Chanel is also in the hospital on a respirator, I believe, fighting for her life. So let's keep that in mind for Regina. We would appreciate that. But Regina, come on up.
And Mrs. Murray, may you speak, and if we could have your family stand too. Just bring the tribe. Bring the tribe. Thank you.
These are all my moms. This is my biological mom. This is Sean's mom. And this is my mom, Wade. I just want to say what I did was because my father put it on my heart that my friend, something was wrong. And I want to thank y'all for recognizing me, which I don't deserve it. He deserves all the honor. And I want to say thank you again.
And Mrs. Joyce Kennedy, Mrs. Kennedy, you have my love and my prayers, and I've only known you guys for over 30 years, if you can believe that. And you have my sincerest love. and my prayers. And Regina, that's no surprise. She's been that kind of person from day one. And she is a very excellent cook. And I think you even cooked for your own wedding. And so she was the bride. And the food, it was a beautiful wedding, but the food was outstanding. And so everybody was talking about the food. And we heard that the bride herself made her own food for her wedding. So she is an outstanding cook. And if you want some good food, I would say hire her because it's nothing but top-notch food. So thank you so much. And you have my prayers. You have my prayers for your daughter and the entire family. And thanks for being here. Yes, ma'am. All right, next we have Ashley Folger.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a nurse at the DC. I'm the first one-to-one that the district had. I just want to recognize my friend Sally. She's also a nurse in the DC. And she just goes above and beyond for our students. If somebody needs more attention, she will give that attention. If something needs, somebody needs change or something, she'll help, she'll jump right in. But what specifically stands out is I was having a medical, I wouldn't say emergency, but it could have turned to an emergency. And I called Sally and she was there and she took my vitals and they got me a snack and it ended up just being my blood sugar. So Sally was really just focused on me. And she did a great job and I don't know where I'd be without Sally. She's my go-to. If I need to cry, if I need a hug, if I need to smile, if I need a water. She's always my water getter, and I love her for that. So Sally, thank you for everything.
And Sally, if you will have your family stand, who is with you? Your husband's there with you? And would you like to say anything?
I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to be here. I'm very blessed to be where I'm at, and I really am very blessed to work with the team that I get to work with every day. Thank you.
And we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have a awards and recognitions, Dr. Karat.
Thank you, President McConnell. We actually have, this is awards and recognition for most improved attendance for the month of February. And it's a normal routine every month. We celebrate schools that are just really seeing some great impact based on their efforts. Our schools are working very hard on their teams to not only improve attendance, and they're seeing great results, but also reduce chronic absenteeism as well. So we have been celebrating schools for the last, 3 or 4 years, just to motivate and encourage them and say, hey, what you're doing is working, keep it up, and keep plugging away. And I am very proud of you also as your superintendent and all of the efforts that you're doing at your buildings with your staff and your families and your kids. And we can see results. So this year, for example, Whittier, I'll ask Whittier to come up, Northmore to come up, and Lincoln to come up. Those are the top out of the 27 buildings. Those 3 have risen to the top, with Whittier seeing almost a 4% increase in attendance rate when compared to last year, and Northmore almost a 2% increase in attendance when compared to last year. And then Lincoln, 1.57 increase compared to last year's attendance rate. So why don't is Lincoln here? We'll go with Lincoln, third place. attendance. Miss Mon, you want to come up, Miss Monas? Team. And she's a new principal, and she's really knocking it out of the park. We love her work. She's really very, very coachable, just really so open to ideas. And I love working with you, Ms. Monas, because I love your attitude. You're just a pleasant person to work with, and as a result, we're seeing improvements. So what are you and your team doing? One or two things?
I wonder if the main reason we went up so much in the past month is because we held a home battle of the homerooms competition, and the homeroom that won, that had the best attendance all month, got to come and participate in the staff versus students volleyball game. So they were very motivated by that. So I think that's the reason why we did so well.
That's awesome. So a student board member will bring a gift card to you, and I think you're very familiar with the gift card, and I would love for you to give it to a parent that's really, really in need. Yep. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. More. So Mrs. Sack is not with us. We had a lot of conversation, problem solving, what you guys are experiencing, and it's good. We're feeling strong about it. She told me you'd represent her because it's her birthday today.
It is her birthday.
So I told her, I said, take a day off on me.
Yeah.
The night, the board meeting, not a day. Take the board meeting off. Our president says she's probably smiling. But I know you guys are working very hard with the team, so maybe share one or two things you think that has gotten you to that point.
Yeah, we do actual check-ins with our chronic students. We give them a calendar, and as they come to school, they fill in a spot each day. And as they fill that calendar up, they earn incentives. We dress up, we act crazy, we're little people, so they love all of it. And we do parades. So that's our big thing is not just with our chronic kids, but with our kids that are kind of border. They get to join in a WAM parade on Friday. So every day we do it, or every Friday we do a different incentive. And so sometimes that's attendance and they get to join in the parade. So that's really fun for them.
That's awesome. Can you introduce yourself, your grade?
Oh, sorry, I'm Stephanie Hanselman, and I'm kindergarten.
Kindergarten, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then Whittier. Here you are.
Hello. Good evening. And we got a banner. We've been working really hard to get a banner at Whittier Primary.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. We meet with our truancy officer multiple times a week with our students. We're trying to keep off the chronically absent list. We also make school really fun. We want it to be a place that our kids and their families want to be at, and so we had an attendance dance if our kids came for the last 2 weeks of February. I was locked in a gym with all of them for a dance party, and it was a really good time, and we think it motivated them because we had the flu taking over Whittier, and after that we were able to make a comeback. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you. I can imagine primary kids at a dance. They probably thought they were high schoolers. And then just the last category, chronic absenteeism, Northmore again. Yes, you guys, at least come on up, and Northmore and Whittier. Whittier second place, and Chatter Oak. Is Mrs. Rodriguez? Come on, Mrs. Rodriguez. I have a card for Mrs. Rodriguez, because... So they have bragging rights as well. Marjorie, who gets bragging rights? Northmore gets bragging rights for being number one for the month of February, for decreasing.
I have Northmore as first place.
Yes, Northmore is first, Whittier is second, and...
Second place is Sarah.
Yes.
2 banners?
Northmore, anything, Ms. Rodriguez, we did not hear from you. You want to share what you're doing to reduce that number? You guys are at 33%. Do you remember what percentage you were at last year? I didn't bring it with me, sorry. That's okay, but it's an improvement from last year, this time of year.
Yes, and I think there was an initiative we ran, a booster in honor of our retiree this year, Mr. Andy Berg, who was the 2021 Those Who Excel Teacher of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And so in honor of him, to celebrate him a little bit and to make it really fun at Charter Oak, we held a Burger King booster. And if they got a Burger King ticket, which is his face with a crown on it, they would put their name on it. This was run the last 2 weeks of February. Put it in the bucket. If their name was drawn, they were given a hamburger, which was a gummy Krabby Patty. So anyway, it did make it a lot of fun, and it was, I think, motivating to reduce discipline referrals and increase attendance.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. Would anyone like to add any tips? Because our principals are watching as well, so they're learning. Are we good? Perfect. So President McConnell, they're doing a very, very nice job. And one of the things they're learning is excellence is not by accident, right? It's not a haphazard measure. It's an intentional strategy, and they're very intentional with their work. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And if I could borrow that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is J1 teacher recognition, Mr. Chris Rowett. How do you say your last name? Rowett?
Rowetter.
Wetter.
Yeah, Rowetter.
Rowetter.
Yeah.
Got you. Thank you.
All right. See if I can see here. Hi, good evening, President McConnell, Vice President Dr. Wilson, esteemed board members, and Dr. Karat. First and foremost, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to recognize these outstanding international teachers. Tonight, we celebrate just 6 of the many dedicated international educators who make a difference in Peoria Public Schools every single day. I still remember my very first day on the job when we were eagerly preparing for the arrival of our first cohort of 28 international teachers coming from the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, and Cameroon, Africa, literally arriving the next day. Since then, this initiative has grown beyond our expectations, and today I'm proud to share that we now have 117 international teachers representing 14 different countries in PPS. This incredible achievement would not have been possible without the vision, dedication, and relentless efforts of Dr. Karat, Dr. Ike, Mrs. Evelyn Henville, and my predecessor, Mr. Peter Kovac, who spent countless hours bringing this remarkable exchange program to life. Their commitment has laid the foundation for what is now a thriving, impactful initiative. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge our International Teacher Exchange Program Manager, Ms. Breasia Bryant, who is truly a rock star. She is the driving force behind the everyday operations of this program, ensuring that our international teachers are supported and set up for success. Additionally, I want to welcome the newest member of our team, Dr. Comfort Akwaji Anderson, a renowned expert in education whose leadership and experience have already begun strengthening this initiative. I could go on about how proud I am of this program and all it has accomplished, but tonight it's about the remarkable teachers we are here to honor. 6 educators who left their home countries, stepped into the unknown, and continued to shine every single day in their classrooms. At this time, I would like to invite the following teachers to the podium to receive their well-earned recognition. First is Ms. Geraldine Jimenia. So, Ms. Jimenia is a special education teacher at Peoria High School, who is also celebrating her birthday today. She was nominated by Mr. Sean McGinnis, the principal of Peoria High School. Mr. McGinnis cannot be here this evening because of a little event going on in Pontiac, Illinois. So Mr. McGinnis sent this for Geraldine. Peoria High School would like to recognize Ms. Geraldine Jimenia as an outstanding international teacher at Peoria High School for the way she connects with her students and makes them feel seen, heard, and valued. She builds trust, provides support, and creates a space where students know they have someone in their corner. Her impact goes beyond the classroom, helping students navigate challenges and believe in their own potential. She is also deeply committed to our most at-risk students, often working extra hours after school to ensure they have the support and guidance they need to succeed and stay on track to graduate. The relationships she builds makes all the difference, and we are lucky to have her at Peoria High School. Congratulations, Ms. Herminia, on a well-deserved honor. All right, now Ms. Carmela Benosa, please, and Mrs. Connie Wall. She's here. Ms. Benosa is a special education teacher at Sterling Middle School, and she was nominated by Mrs. Connie Wall, Special Education Coordinator.
Yes, I'm honored to say a few words for Ms. Benosa. Come on up. Ms. Benosa has a genuine interest and curiosity about her students' lives and experiences. She knows empathy, or shows empathy, which builds deeper connections with her students. She treats all her students fairly and with dignity. She has open communication with her students as families. Excuse me. She's an active listener when someone reaches out to her. Her students and colleagues hold the utmost trust and respect for her. They value both her opinions and boundaries. Ms. Benosa has a strong rapport with her colleagues. She is a mentor teacher for other international teachers in her school building. She creates, develops, and sustains relationships that result in active student engagement and learning processes. Congratulations. All
right, next up we have Miss Christine Joy Dallin-Peens. I'm sorry. Ms. Dallin-Peens is a special education teacher at Richwoods High School, and she was nominated by Ms. Amanda Rutledge, Special Education Coordinator. Ms. Rutledge.
So it's my pleasure to recognize Christine's hard work and dedication. Her ability to adapt to a new culture while prioritizing her students' needs truly exemplifies the qualities of a great educator. By fostering a growth mindset and providing diverse communication methods, Christine not only supports her students' functional skill development, but also inspires them to overcome their own challenges. Her commitment to raising the bar in education is commendable, and we are truly grateful for her contributions to the PPS community. Thank you, Christine.
All right, Ms. Tanika Thompson. All right, Ms. Thompson is a third grade teacher at Dr. Maude Sanders Primary School. She was nominated by Mrs. Kathleen Burke, one of our district mentors. Ms. Burke wasn't able to make it this evening, so she sent the following message. Ms. Thompson is open and welcoming to all students. Building community within the classroom is hard work, but she persevered and built relationships with her students to establish a respectful classroom community. She has lunch with her students in the classroom and as a reward, and Ms. Thompson is a valued member of the third grade team and school community. All right, next up, Ms. Glacy Regner. Glacy Regner is a fifth grade teacher at Harold B. Dawson Jr. Middle School, and she was nominated by Mr. Mick Swanson, principal at Harold B. Dawson Jr. Middle School.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about Ms. Regner today. She is an amazing teacher, an amazing teammate, and truly cares about her children. She has created a positive energy in her classroom. Her environment is spectacular. There are kind words and encouraging words throughout her room. The room is very organized. The classroom is full of positive things to say. And students in there are energetically engaged in the learning activities of the lessons. The students truly have fun, and they are learning. Ms. Regner is a teacher that all of us would love our students, our children to have. I have with me Miss Forbes, who's our 6th grade ELA teacher. And when we were talking about this, she said something that was very impactful to me. She said, my students are better for having Miss Regner, and they make it easier for her to do her job. So I would like her to share a few with you.
Mabuhay, everyone. Mabuhay. In case you did not know, in the Philippines, mabuhay is a word used as a greeting to express good wishes. My name is Carrie Forbes, and I have had the privilege of teaching 6th grade ELA at Harold B. Dawson for many years. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight about my wonderful colleague, Glacy Regner. It is my honor. When Mrs. Regner came to Peoria Public Schools 4 years ago, I was assigned as her mentor. While she willingly accepted all guidance and was very eager to learn, I soon realized that she was already pretty well equipped to handle a classroom. It was so impressive to see the way she ran her class from the very first day. Not only was she patient, kind, funny, but so willing to learn our curriculum quickly and get to know what was expected of her. More importantly, she quickly began to know her students by teaching them all about herself and her culture. She developed such an amazing structure for her ELA lessons and packed them full of a variety of reading and writing strategies. I can only imagine the amount of time Mrs. Regner dedicated each day to prepare for her classes. Today, she continues to succeed, not just in teaching, but inspiring her students. They love her. She greets each and every student at the door at the beginning of class, and she plans detailed lessons, as well as maintaining classroom management with warmth and consistency. Even on the most challenging days, she somehow remains calm, reinforcing expectations with patience and positivity. Her students respect her because they know she believes in them. But perhaps the greatest testament to Mrs. Regner's impact is within the students themselves. As a 6th grade teacher, for the past 3 years in particular, my students have begun the school year better prepared than ever. As confident writers, eager learners, and ready to work, that is the magic of Mrs. Regner. But Glacy, you are so much more than a 5th grade teacher in our building. Your dedication does not go unnoticed, and tonight we celebrate you.
All right, and then last but not least, Miss Joan Bailey Gentles. Miss Bailey Gentles is a 5th grade teacher at the Lee Ford Allen Academy, and she was nominated by Mrs. Patty Lippert, one of our district mentors.
Thank you for having me. Here, Joan, you did this. Okay, I'm not very good at this. But anyways, Ms. Gentles, there were 4 categories that we nominated our teachers in. Did come. And so I chose to speak about her category of perseverance and resilience. Ms. Gentles, you have positively adapted your teaching style to the culture and style of American education. Your perseverance and growth mindset are evident with the changing roles you have moved through in your time with District 150. I'm gonna cry. Joan had taught 1st grade and at Glen Oak and is currently teaching 5th grade at a different school. Her progress as an American teacher has been rapid due to her ability to welcome and embrace all aspects of coaching and mentoring and her genuine love of her students. I can't stand it. I'm so happy for Ms. Gentles to be acknowledged for her persistent dedication to instructing the students in our district. Congratulations. Dr. Wilson, will you tell Lathan hi for me?
I will.
All right, so again, please, Thank you for joining in the celebration with these exceptional teachers. Next, Dr. Kwaji Anderson has a surprise.
All right. Good evening, President McConnell, Vice President Dr. Wilson, esteemed board members, Dr. Crad, and distinguished guests. Tonight, as we celebrate outstanding contributions of our international teachers, I want to take a moment to recognize a group of dedicated, passionate, and incredibly skilled educators whose impact is just as vital, our international teacher mentors. Supporting international teachers is more than just helping them navigate a new curriculum or classroom. It is about bridging cultures, fostering resilience, and ensuring that every teacher feels empowered to succeed. Adjusting to a new educational system, a different way of life, and a brand new community is no small feat. I can testify to that. And our international teachers could not do it alone. That's where these exceptional mentors come in. Each of them has taken on the critical role of coach, advocate, and guide, ensuring that our international teachers receive the support, encouragement, and professional development they need to thrive. Their work not only helps these teachers succeed, but also elevates them on the world stage, showcasing their talents and contributions in the field of education. Tonight, the administration is honored to recognize the following international teacher mentors who work alongside me and our district international teacher support team to make a difference every single day. When I call your name, please stand and come over here. Kathy Burke, she's not here. Patty Lippert, come on, Patty. Jane Cushing, Jane traveled, so she's not here either. Kelly O'Neill. Sue Malehi. These remarkable individuals embody what it means to lead with heart, purpose, and dedication. Their unwavering commitment ensures that our international teachers are not only welcomed, but fully supported in their journey to facilitate impactful learning for students in the Peoria schools. On behalf of our international teachers, our district, and myself, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to each of you. Your mentorship does more than help teachers adjust. It empowers them to excel, innovate, and inspire. Please join me in celebrating and appreciating these incredible mentors for their tireless dedication and invaluable contributions. We have a small gift to thank you. Please come forward. Yeah. All right. I'm going to open it up so everyone can see. So the front of it says, Mentors. Elevating educators on the world stage. Peoria Public Schools, District 150.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, mentors and our J1 teachers. We celebrate you and we value your sacrifices, and we hope being here in Peoria has added rich value to your life. You have been exposed to a small urban culture, and so I hope that you will leave here and take something monumental with you. I would like to take a moment of privilege to recognize our own superintendent, Dr. Sharon Karat, who was nominated on a national level. She already won our state superintendent of the year, and then she was nominated for the national, and she didn't win that one, but she was a finalist, which is huge. And I want to celebrate her leadership, her dedication. I was going to read some of her resume, but I don't want to. I know she doesn't want me to, but I just want to mention just this little segment of it, that Dr. Karat has been in this district for a long time. Does it exceed 25 years? Somewhere around that. Somewhere around 25 years. I first met her when she was the blue ribbon winning school at Whittier, and notable, Whittier Primary was the first blue ribbon school in our district. Yes, yes. So I wasn't going to highlight them, but but then not only that, she actually served as principal at Roosevelt Magnet at the time. She went on to high school. She took her skills and her passion to go district-wide, and so she served in Danville and in Springfield, and God navigated things so that she was back here in Peoria Public Schools. And so I want to personally thank you. I think we should all celebrate her in this moment, because she has served very well, and she has served very conscientiously, and it comes from a pure space, and she cares. And so if you will join me, please, if we can stand and celebrate her. Okay, so our next item is our district presentation, and Dr. Karat is going to cue up our next presenter while the room is thinning out. And if we could adjust the temperature, I don't know if you guys are warm. I'm suffering, and I can't take off any more layers. I can't. If I do, the room's gonna clear. I'm like slow melting up here. So if we could make some kind of an adjustment to the heat in the room, it would be appreciated.
Thank you, President McConnell, and thank you for the recognition as well. I tell my team and everyone, I'm just a face. It's our work together. So thank you. Two things also. Today is Dr. Ike's birthday as well. So there are 3 birthdays. So a teacher that was recognized, Principal Sack, and now Dr. Ike. So happy birthday, Doc. And then guess what? Speaking of Springfield, I just got a text, Manual 1. So come on, Peoria High, right? So Peoria High is, I think they've started playing in Pontiac. They started at 7, and by Manual they were in Springfield, and they started at 6. So thank you again. In a few minutes, you will hear the transition to standards-based grading for middle school by Mrs. Donath, who is Peoria Public Schools Director of Curriculum. And this standards-based grading approach to assessment is really actually part of our bold vision of reimagining our work. The strategic plan, which the board approved in 2021, and it's a 5-year plan, 2021 through 2026. Remember, we're supposed to be 2020 to 2025. COVID came. We all ran for cover and had a different project. And then a year we're like, okay, we need our plan because we don't have a plan. So that's why it has this weird number, 21 to 26, because of COVID. Was approved by the board, specifically under strategy number 1, which is to personalize learning. And then under strategy 1, there was a plan B, which is to design and implement a district-wide standards-based reporting system, and so on. So I kind of wanted to, and then design and implement a district assessment system on grade slash subject skills and competencies aligned with the work. So I present to you, so I wanted to tee it up for you to sort of say it's part of this larger approval process and this plan. And so here's Ms. Donath, Tracy Donath, to share more information with us. Thank you, Ms. Donath.
Thank you, Dr. Karat and President McConnell, Vice President Dr. Wilson, and board. I do appreciate the time today. I know there's been a lot of questions, a lot of thoughts, and I would really do appreciate the opportunity today to talk to you all about where we are with this update on standards-based grading for middle school. So just so we're all on the same page, standards-based grading is an approach to assessment that focuses on a student's understanding of grade level content, skills, and standards. It is a way to assess students' learning. It is not a method of teaching. So changing grading does not alter what is taught. It also does not alter how it's taught, because that's the curriculum and that's the instruction. This is simply about how we assess what has been taught in order to evaluate and make adjustments moving forward. It does align to the strategic plan, as Dr. Karat mentioned earlier, but I also want to call out that this is the reason for the work that we started approximately 4 years ago. But it is not the only reason why I do this work. I work really hard to support our students in this transition to standards-based grading because I believe in it. I was a parent of children who were in a district where they did K-12 standards-based grading, so I experienced that as a parent. I also taught in a district prior to coming to Peoria where I was a teacher who used standards-based grading approaches, so I believe in this work. Just as a refresher, standards-based grading assessments, our recommendation is that we would use a 4-3-2-1 scale, with 3 being an assessment of meeting grade level standards. It is our end of year expectation for what students know and are able to do. 2 is a very wide range. It represents students getting close, but they need teacher support. But also it represents students making small mistakes, but they're getting there. They're almost meeting and showing mastery of grade level standard. Parents will have the opportunity to learn about where their child is in this range of 2, which is very broad, through progress reports that we will be sending home to report on students' digital learning, IXL, Lexia, those sorts of programs that we do. We'll be able to give the nuance of the assessments in that range of 2 much more clearly. So we do have that in mind as well. I just want to give a quick summary of what a standards-based report card will look like as compared to a traditional report card. On the left, you'll see what a snippet of a standards-based report card would look like. This happens to be 5th grade math, just a small portion of what you see there. And you can see this particular student has a 3 in the standard that is on creating a line plot with fractional measurements and use fractions to solve problems based on the data. What that tells me is this particular student no longer needs to practice creating line plots with fractional measurements, and I can give them other work to do because they have demonstrated mastery of this standard. However, this student does have 2 numbers in fractions in base 10 standards. One is about dividing unit fractions and one is about solving real world problems where they still have some work to do. So as the classroom teacher, I can focus my energies there to help the student develop mastery of grade level expectations. This is very clear for not only the teacher, but also the parent. Because as a parent, I know what are some things that I can work on with my child at home that will help them grow. On a traditional report card, I see a math 5th grade score of B. That doesn't tell me what to do. It only tells me that that child earned somewhere between 80 to 89% of the total points offered for that particular subject. So standards-based grading report cards have much more detail to them, which gives us a clearer vision of what students can have mastered or what they need to continue to work on. There are many reasons why we recommend this transition to standards-based grading, and you can see many of them there. The better predictor of grade level proficiency, which we're accountable to for our students, our parents, and the community to increase students' grade level proficiency. If the state is evaluating us on whether or not our students are grade level proficient, so shouldn't our assessments be aligned to that level of proficiency? We also want to make sure we have clear understanding of what students know and are able to do. And the bottom right quadrant is explaining that those practices that are put in place when assessments are done with standards-based grading in mind, research has shown have increased student engagement, reduced text anxiety, and improved feedback by teachers to support learning, as well as some other things. And we included those in your board packet, as well as that information is available at the check-in if anyone who is on site would like to see that as well. Standards-based grading has two facets to it, as we are recommending to our district. One is academic knowledge, that would be our core subject areas, and non-academic skills, which are be responsible, be respectful, be engaged, and be safe. We separate those out so that when we have a student who is missing work or has behaviors that are making it harder for them to be successful in class, we can separate the impact of that by assessing them on their non-academic skills. So our academic standards aren't adjusted based on that. We can clearly see what a student knows in science without the influence on whether or not they've had their homework turned in. And the separation of those two things help make grades even clearer than before. This is a timeline of our work, and I'm not going to read all the pieces on here, but I will say we've started back in 2022, 2023 with working with K-4 and with high school. And that work continued into 23-24, where we started our first year of standards-based grading, and we brought in starting the work of middle school. So I know a lot of our teachers and the pilot and the work has been mostly this year, but I just want to call out that we did start this work with standard selection and assessment creation and our teacher committee back in last year for middle school. We continue the work with high school, creating common assessments, and our recommendation is that for next year we implement standards-based grading across K through 8, and we will have our high school priority standards, tasks, and standards-aligned assessments fully implemented. So this is just a snippet of the resources that we have created for teachers. What you see here is guidance on what assessments are must-do and what we call may-do assessments, so teachers know what are some things that all of our students should have as an assessment to measure their understanding of a standards, and what are some extra may-do assignments that teachers can give their students if they want more evidence or if they need opportunities for students to retake assessments. We also have grade norming guidance that we are creating. We've created assessments aligned to those standards. When I say we, I'm talking about the teacher committee. This has been a 2-year process coming up to this. And then you'll see on the far right, that is what we call a learning progression, which specifically delineates to teachers what does it look like when a student has a score of 3, 2, 1, or if they can achieve a 4, it outlines specifically what they need to know and be able to do to earn that score of 4. You'll see here, this is the guidance that we created for teachers that define what be responsible, be respectful, be engaged, and be safe are, and gives a rubric for how to assess each one of those on a 3-2-1 scale. We've also created guidance for teachers by making presentations for them to share with their students, especially this year it was created for our non-academic behaviors that they had access to, and we will do the same for them next year for academic behavior or academic scores. Also, we created a standards-based grading guidebook. We're continuing to add to that. And we have an engaged Microsoft feed where teachers add questions or answer different things when they collaborate together as part of their PLCs. They add details there or they ask questions there, and our curriculum team reads them and answers them. Part of our work as guidance for principals is to create different eligibility and MTSS and honor roll type recommendations. These are the recommendations that we had created as part of our work with principals and AJ Guyton as we worked through this process together. We also conferred with other districts on what they do in a standards-based grading world to develop eligibility to make that as clear as possible. And this is our recommendation.
And based on feedback from our families as well.
Absolutely, because one of the pieces of feedback we got from parents was that they didn't want us to only use academic grades. They also wanted those non-academic grades to be a factor in eligibility, and so we made sure that was included. We also have guidance for principals for honor roll, and we have what we would recommend to principals on how they would honor attendance, which hasn't changed. Behaviors, a lot of schools honor our students for having those behaviors that we want to recognize in school, but we are recommending that they do that off of the non-academic behavior so that it's more streamlined. Also, our recommendation to principals is that they do honor roll and high honor roll with those criteria and academic growth based on the criteria that you see. Also, for principals, we've worked on creating guidance for MTSS and special education. Again, with the big categories for MTSS, which is our multi-tiered systems of support. And we have guidance for students in tiers 2 and 3 and considerations for students with IEPs. And all of this work was done not only with principal leaders, but also special education coordinators to make sure that we had a well-rounded approach to supporting our students. Other guidance we've created for principals are presentations so that they could turn around and give those to their staff so there is a consistent and clear message across the district. We've sent home letters to families to explain the grade marks and any changes that have been occurring as related to standards-based grading to make sure families were informed. And then we've also given them a brochure. You can see the first page of it pictured on the right side to distribute either to new families when they register, or we asked them to send them home with the first report card this year to have clear messaging on what those grades represent of a 4-3-2-1. So that there is consistency across our district. We also have resources for parents, and there's quite a few of them, and they continue to grow based on feedback that we get from parents and from teachers. So you'll see there is, for those at home, there's a QR code for K through 4 standards-based grading, and there is a QR code for 5 through 8 standards-based grading. Those of you that have the presentation, those are links above. So you can go see on our website multiple resources, some of which I already named, others are new. For example, we did a town hall meeting and we had many parents ask questions which were really valuable, but we were out of time to address them all, or some of them weren't pertinent to the purpose of that specific meeting. So if parents go onto that site now, they'll see the Q&A all listed down below of questions we didn't get to, but they are listed there to support, to make sure that we have some transparency with the questions that they were asking and answers. We've also started a pilot process. This pilot began back in January 6th, and we have had a few different check-in meetings. One has been January 29th, one was February 19th, and then we have another one next week on March 17th, as well as multiple emails and communications individually with teachers. And this committee has been piloting our standards-based grading assessments and trying them out and giving us feedback on how we can improve the assessments, how we can improve the grading process. And we are listening to them and making adjustments for Skyward and things like that based on the feedback that we receive. Encore classes are represented by music and art. I do not have a representative currently for PE and technology, but I do have teachers supporting me that teach those subjects in other ways. We had 36 total teachers in our district pilot this process. And as we continue to get feedback from them, we continue to make adjustments. One of the other things we did was survey students to see how they were feeling about the standards-based grading process. One of the ones I wanted to highlight here was our 4th grade students. They are going to be next year's 5th graders at the middle school. And you can see here that we asked them, how would you rate your experience with standards-based grading so far? This group has actually been doing it for 2 years. 3rd grade and 4th grade. And you can see here, there's a range of opinions, some positive, some not. But if I look at grade numbers 4 and 5, which is it's mostly fine and it's fantastic, I love everything about it, that represents 160 students. And if you look at 1 and 2, which are not positive, that represents 112. So overall, we have a more positive lean to standards-based grading for our incoming 5th grade students. And these can be our leaders next year to support our work for standards-based grading. What an opportunity for our incoming 5th grade students to lead the way to help teach others about standards-based grading in their schools. What's ahead? Well, a lot of things are ahead. We have a future town hall meeting on April 10th. More links and things like that will be available on our website as it gets closer. We are having opportunities for teacher teams to collaborate. That will be with PLCs and School Improvement Day that's coming up on May 7th, I believe. There will be creation of additional resources by listening to teachers and whatever resources we find that we still need. The curriculum team is very diligent at finding the resources that teachers are requesting to help measure success. Lots of professional teacher development is on board. That includes the May SIP that I mentioned earlier, but also throughout the summer and at the beginning of the next school year is all planned and ready to go. And I would say that we are making adjustments to Skyward based on teacher feedback, and if I'm being honest, based on parent feedback as well, because we have heard some feedback from K-4 parents who say that Skyward is not giving them enough information to help demonstrate or see what their student is progressing in. So one of the things we've been trying with the middle school, which we will learn next week if it was exceptionally successful or not, might be something that we move forward in K-4 if our middle school teachers find that it was very helpful to them to organize their grades that way. So we're still learning as we go, but doing so with feedback of the people doing the work. Our high school is not on here, but we are continuing to work with them on using those standards aligned assessments as well. We're not intending necessarily to have them move to the 4-3-2-1 scale. It is the plan to keep them on the ABCD scale, but their assessments are aligned to standards. We've been doing final exams aligned to standards. They selected priority standards, so they have been very integrated in this work as well. And I do want to say thank you for your time. I know I went over, I apologize, President McConnell, but I just wanted to be as clear as possible about the slides, but I am more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Appreciate the data and the PowerPoint kind of presenting that. Had three things, and then I'll kind of get out the way. And it's kind of cold in here now. No, it's all good. So 36 teachers piloted this grading.
Yes.
This grading procedure. So I would be interested in seeing what those results were, and if you can, just kind of provide a summary of what those teachers had mentioned when implementing that. Are there any that were against it, that just flat out said that we should not implement this? I'm real big on collaboration, so I kind of want to make sure that does not get missing. And that kind of goes into my next question as well. It looks like we started off with the grading committee. I don't see a grading committee here with you now to go through these. So is this recommendation a shared recommendation, or is it just from the administration?
When you say the grading committee, are you talking about the grading policy?
A grading committee. So wasn't the
Okay.
grading committee instrumental in kind of piloting the K through fourth grading, standards-based grading?
So what? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr.
They're two different.
They are two different.
They're
things.
two
different?
two
Okay.
very, very different things. Then you want to.
Sure. So the grading committee was the committee who helped us design our reassessment procedure, or the administrative procedures on how we handle late work, how we handle all the different things related to grading that aren't specific to a ABCDF or a 4-3-2-1 type scale. It's all the work on what are the expectations of teachers to allow students to reassess if they aren't doing well, or the 40% minimum as we discussed
Right.
before.
Mhm.
That's what the grading policy or the grading committee
Gotcha.
work is.
Okay.
Standards-based grading recommendation that I've shared with you tonight was started because of the strategic plan that was
For sure.
passed, and the work has been done by administration with many other people in order to create what you heard
Gotcha.
tonight.
Okay, so there's been no committee that has fleshed out this particular standards-based grading as we go into these grades 5th through 8th.
I would
correct?
disagree with
Yeah.
that.
There's
Just in general, there's no
Yeah.
committee that's here. There's no committee that has gotten together that includes teachers, administrators, and different parents that have created what we just seen tonight. It's just administration.
We
No.
have multiple committees. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so 2020, like in the PowerPoint, 20 with the timeline, 2020 to 2023, Committee of Teachers and Principals developed guidance for standards-based grading in K4. And it has actually been very collaborative along the way, including parents. How many town halls did you do?
I've done 2 so far, and we have 4 more scheduled.
And getting feedback as well. What other means have you? I've gotten feedback and I've sent them to you. We've had conversations for those that I've received.
I've had individual meetings with parents. I've emailed parents. We've had multiple conversations. But also in the board packet, there was a timeline of the different events, and it outlines each different subcommittee who was part of this work, which is also part of the packet that's available for the group.
Got you.
So there's been multiple committees with leaders, with teachers, with parents. It's all outlined here.
Gotcha. I'll review that, but I would also like to, if you can, briefly talk about the. I'm sorry, President McConnell, if I can.
No.
Just
I have you on the timer, so.
Okay. The feedback from the teachers that have piloted the standards-based grading. What has that been?
So we did a pilot for the K-4 teachers back in 2022, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a different group of teachers who were part of this work, but multiple years ago. Now we are piloting with the 36 teachers that I mentioned for our pilot committee, but we wanted them to finish the third quarter, and the third quarter is ending right now.
Wednesday.
Yeah, so we wanted them to be able to finish the quarter, and the timing of this meeting was just slightly before that.
We'll
So
get that
we're
to you
meeting
though.
with
But we can get that to them once
Absolutely.
we've gotten the data. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. And then next steps. Are we going to vote on this as a board?
I was just gonna say that.
I think.
It appears like it's already happening, so I don't think this is a vote matter. This is an FYI moment. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. This is informational, and I think I mentioned to some
That's
of
the same as FYI, for your information.
informational, and
This is not an action item, correct?
no, it's not an action item.
Okay, it's an FYI.
I did reference to a couple of, the plan is to put it on, make it an action item at some point after we have lots of conversations.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We wanted
Does
to make sure.
anybody else?
And I did mention that to a couple of board members as well, so.
Okay.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, Greg, I was gonna say, your time is up, Miss Martha.
Is it okay if I just add one thing to that? I just wanted to say that when we're following the directive of the strategic plan, which told us to do this initiative, and that's what the
Well,
work we've
okay,
been
hold on. Let's not cross words. The strategic plan says a certain task to meet, to improve test scores and some other things.
Sure
So
does.
let's not cross words and say that the plan said do this.
No,
This is
it does
just
not.
one avenue to try and accomplish that. So let's just be clear, and I'm gonna ask you to pause.
I will.
So I can have Mrs. Ross ask her question,
Yes,
please.
Mrs.
Thank you. Some of the questions I had written down have been already discussed, but I was wondering how many teachers were surveyed? I mean, I know we have more than 36 teachers, and I want to know how the teachers felt about it. How many teachers were surveyed? And then I heard you say that information went out to parents, and I mean, I'm a parent, but I don't remember receiving any information regarding this. I'm more concerned about parents because over the years, we make all these changes, and then we expect parents to help their children. For instance, the new math and all that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
There never was any training on how to help their children. So a lot of adults don't know even how to, manipulate that process. But I just wondered, rather than just a town hall, what kind of training is available to parents to be able to decipher the information that you have presented here? How many people attended the town hall, and what was presented, that kind of thing. I didn't attend the town hall, but I'm more concerned about this. How many teachers altogether?
So Miss Rose attended town hall, I think, right, Miss Rose? And I think about approximately 30. And I'll just say something, President McConnell. So as the great compromiser, Mrs. Donath is correct. It's in the strategic plan. It was already approved. But one of the things I said,
This program was not in the plan. Let's not.
It is, but
let's
one of the
not
things I
oversell
said,
that. It's not in the strategic plan.
we just
Yeah, I know.
we just showed it, but that's okay. Because one of the things I did say to the board is that we will bring it to the board at the appropriate time. But it was approved in 2021 that, we did the K4 and then we would do the middle. And once I spoke with each one of you, I got some feedback and the vibe that, you definitely want to provide additional feedback and guidance. And we're okay with that. So I just want you to know that, yeah, I don't want to kill a dead horse, but it will come to you.
Right.
It
And
will
I
come
wanna-
to you.
And okay, go
Is
ahead,
it
Ms.
okay
Rothman, then
if
I'm
she
gonna-
answers my question?
Sure.
So, yes,
Yeah,
so.
were all the teachers surveyed?
No, not yet. But here's why. Because it is hard to answer a survey until you have the abundance of information and you're completely familiar with all the pieces. And so we've been continuing to hear back from our pilot teachers on the different things and how it's been working in their classrooms. And we wanted to hear from them first to make adjustments to our plan based on what we're hearing before it goes to the masses, because it's really hard to vote on something if you're not fully aware of all the components.
So, so then all of the K through 4 and 5 through 8 classes are not, it's just how many classes? It's not the whole schools?
K4 has been doing standards-based grading for 2 years. So are we speaking about 5-8, the pilot that's happening right now? If so,
So I want to know
we-
if all the K4 classes are using this standard.
K4,
basis.
yes. Right now,
And
they
all
have been
all
for
the
2 years.
teachers, and so only 36 teachers in all the K4 classes?
No, the 36 teachers are the ones that are currently piloting the middle school standards-based grading implementation. Grades K through 4, we have all classes currently using standards-based grading across the district.
Yeah.
Is already fully implemented.
It's just a sample group. Okay, just a couple of things. You don't have to answer them, but I think we need to just for clarity, a couple of things. So when you say 4, 3, 2, 1, it's parallel to A, B, C, D. And I do understand how it gets into the subjective matter when we're looking at behaviors and that targeted shared information. I'm curious, why can't a teacher share that information with the parent via email, parent-teacher conference, and a phone call? Before we had standard-based grading, and I'm a very engaged parent, if I didn't hear from my teacher, I can look in Skyward and see missing assignments, grades. I saw it all, and I was an eagle on it. So I looked at Skyward probably multiple times in a week, and I definitely looked at on Mondays and Fridays if I missed Wednesday. If I had any questions as a parent, why Moses or Caleb or Matthew got a C instead of an A, I emailed, I called, and I visited, and I got all the clarification needed. When we say standard-based grading, is this report card going to come out with a lot more frequency than the ones that we have now? Is it going to come out every 6 weeks?
It'll come out quarterly, but parents will have access to view.
Right, so every 6 to 8 weeks. And if there's some detail, as I see here, that's in this report card, if I've not been notified of that before I get this printout, then the battle's lost. So personally, I don't see how it's going to differentiate and create this clarity that cannot be and that has not been accomplished with contact with the parents via email, a telephone call, parent-teacher conferences. I do understand it, and I'm not opposed to what it offers. My issue is we're transitioning and preparing our kids to go to high school, and should they desire to go to trade school, to college, wherever they shall land, I want them to be universally ready for that and not have to go through another transition of understanding where their grades are when they leave high school, when they leave middle school going into high school into college. Let's prepare them with a general understanding. To my last point, if any parent has any questions, that's where that relationship has to start. This program's not going to build a relationship with the parent. All it is just information sharing that should be done proactively. When the student starts failing, there should be some outreach contact with this kind of detail. He doesn't read well. He's not comprehending math. Are you practicing math? Are we sending homework home? There's other proactive things that have to be done tangibly and not just resting with documentation of it that I'm going to get after 6 to 8 weeks.
I can't imagine that anyone would disagree.
Okay.
Of course, that
All right, thank
relationship is really powerful.
Okay,
But I'm
thank
saying
you.
they don't have to be exclusive of each other. They can all be part of the same thing.
Correct. All right, thank you. And then you guys, we've already been on this more than 30 minutes, and I think we need to.
We're not bound by any time.
No, I understand that, Miss Martha. I'm saying we've been on this and we have several other items, so I'll give you one more question, and then if anybody else has any questions, then we're gonna move on, okay?
That's okay. I'll get my questions answered. I still didn't get my questions answered, but I'll get them answered later.
Well, you
No,
have
that's
put them
fine.
out there. She can email you.
That's
It's
fine.
time for us to move on. Thank you.
I am happy to elaborate.
I'll call you up in a minute.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you so much for your time. Okay, next item, presentation by audience. And I just put them in alpha order. And the first person that we have, you have 5 minutes, and our secretary will maintain time. And when you hear a alarm, we'll ask you to kind of wind up on your comments. Is it Lacey? Leah?
Lacey.
Okay, Lacey. And I don't know how to say your last name.
Hafley.
Hafley. Okay, Lacey Hafley. Thank you for being here.
Hi there. So I am a 7th and 8th grade science teacher in the district. And I am here to represent the teachers that are actually concerned about standards-based grading and some of the implementation within middle school. So some of the things that have been presented to me by multiple teachers, not just from my building, but from other buildings as well. Middle school students experience significant cognitive and emotional growth at varying rates. A rigid standard-based grading system may not accommodate these differences, potentially demotivating slower developing students. According to Piaget's stages of cognitive development, students transition from concrete to abstract thinking during middle school. While some students start grasping abstract concepts, others may still rely on concrete experiences, risking unfair penalization by standards-based grading. Maturity levels also vary widely. Some students are more responsible and self-motivated, while others need significant support. A one-size-fits-all grading system might disadvantage students requiring more time and guidance to develop essential skills. It is also may increase stress and pressure on students to meet specific standards, negatively impacting their mental health and well-being. Frequent assessments required to ensure standards are met can lead to a constant cycle of testing, which overwhelms students. Fear of not meeting standards can discourage risk-taking and experimentation, as students may prefer playing it safe to ensure they meet the benchmarks. While standards-based grading aims to provide clear expectations, it often lacks detailed, individualized feedback, leaving students without specific guidance on how to improve. It can also narrowly focus on individual standards, missing the broader context of a student's learning journey and overall development. Without detailed explanations, students might not fully understand what steps to take to improve or why they didn't meet a particular standard. Implementing standards-based grading requires significant changes in assessment and reporting practices, increasing teacher workload and potentially leading to burnout. Keeping detailed records of student progress on each standard can be overwhelming, especially with large class sizes. For instance, I teach 90 8th graders and 90 8th graders and 80 7th graders, which is a lot. Parents accustomed to traditional-based grading system might find standard-based grading confusing and challenging to interpret, creating a communication gap between teachers and parents. This confusion could lead to frustration, straining teacher-parent relationships, and making it harder to support academic progress of students effectively. There is also no incentive for students to complete homework under standards-based grading. Teachers have already observed a decline in student motivation to submit assignments. If homework is not graded, students may not see the value in practice work until the summative assessment is due. This could further diminish motivation, especially amongst struggling students. These students might realize also early on that their standard cannot decrease, leading them to stop completing additional work for that standard once they achieve a level 2, knowing it will not negatively impact their grade. There is also concern that they are not about the standards that are not explicitly graded. Currently, we are only planning on tracking a select number of standards rather than addressing all of them. Within the next generation science standards for middle school, there are approximately 600 standards in total. We are concerned that by focusing solely on a subset of these standards, the others may be neglected entirely as the emphasis shifts towards teaching to the assessment. We are also worried about the lack of consistency in defining mastery across different schools. Mastery at one school may not equate to mastery at another, leading to discrepancies in educational outcomes. This raises an important question. What becomes of a student who consistently receives 1s and 2s throughout the academic year? Advancing such students to the next level could send the unintended message that it is acceptable to not fully grasp all required content. Many special education inclusion students do not read at grade level, making it challenging for them to meet grade level standards. While we support revising the district's approach to assessing student learning, a dramatic change within a short time frame may lead to challenges. To us, it seems like this is what we are doing. Get on board. That, to us, is not collaboration, which a gradual transition, starting with attaching standards to each lesson and assignment rather than fully adopting standards-based grading, could be beneficial. Students may earn a 1 below for not understanding the material, a 3 meets for full comprehension, and a 4 above grade level for exceptional understanding, which we've been told is very unlikely. However, our concern is that most students might earn a 2 approaching, which is ambiguous and does not provide detailed feedback on their understanding or how close they are to meeting the standard. To address this, it could be helpful to use the standard-based grading for both formative, ongoing, and summative assessments by averaging their grades from these assessments.
Lacey.
Yep.
That was your time.
Oh, I have like 2 sentences.
Okay, you can finish 2 sentences.
By averaging their grades from these assessments, students would receive a final score of 1, 2, 3, or 4, which would provide a clearer picture of their overall performance and progress.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you. Okay, our next speaker is Jessica Hines. Thank you for being here, Miss Jessica.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jessica Hines. I have 3 children in District 150, and I'm an active district volunteer. Last year, I emailed our administrators with concerns about standards-based grading in middle schools. Mrs. Donath graciously agreed to meet with me. While I appreciated the willingness to have open discussion, I left that meeting with more questions than answered. So tonight, I'd like to address some of these concerns publicly. One item that continually has come up is the transition to standards-based grading is required by the district's strategic plan. That 2021 to 26 strategic plan calls for standards-based assessment and reporting implementation at all levels. Yet our high schools are using a hybrid model, using standards-based assessment while maintaining a traditional A to F system. If this approach works for high school, why can't we use that at middle school level too? Many districts have reverted to hybrid models after seeing negative effects of standards-based grading for older students. This is a great middle ground, making sure the standards identified as most critical are used for assessment while also maintaining a grading system, a reporting grading system that parents and students can easily interpret. We have more information than we did in 2020 when this plan was started. Our students should not be used to test out an unproven method that simply checks a box on our strategic plan. Another major issue with this transition is what it will take away from teachers and parents who are working to build a skill set for responsible adults. As the policy is proposed, a student could skip all assigned practice work and still receive a 3 for that subject if they pass the test. That is not a real-world skill. Not having all of our assignments count towards a grade should have repercussions. I believe our schools should focus on developing responsible adults I believe our schools should be just as focused on developing responsible adults as they are as making sure our students can solve for X. And that means doing the assigned work, even if you already know the answer. Just as athletes must attend practice to play, students should do their work to earn their 3. Once standards-based grading was implemented in elementary schools, we could no longer see the scores, as has been discussed. We only see the final grades. Middle school is a critical time for developing responsibility. The real-time assignment visibility in Skyward is essential for parents and teachers to help them stay on track and accountable. Just as I am a Skyward mom, and it sounds like we had another. Those are really valuable tools to hold our students accountable from home, which is what our district wants and is asking of us. Another priority in District 150 has been project-based learning. I've had several teachers in discussion raise that it is going to be incompatible with standards-based grading as proposed because the scores are only to our standards-based grading is only to represent individual contributions. We regularly see the value of team-based work here at board meetings, and I believe those projects are critical to developing adults who have the skills to work with others. At the virtual town hall that was discussed on the middle school transition in February, it was acknowledged that the research being presented does not pertain to standards-based grades in middle school, nor to districts with our student and community demographics. Additional town halls were announced. Yet standards-based grading is set to roll out in less than 5 months with major unanswered questions. Meanwhile, a pilot on standards-based grading with middle school teachers is being conducted without solutions. It was started without solutions on reassessment, eligibility, even fully finalized standards. Is that a pilot? All of this said, the reason I'm most passionate about this is that I've personally been a part of the failure. In 2019, from 2000 to 22, I was an elected member of a board of education in a smaller district that had adopted standards-based grading. Several years later, the superintendent came to the board as I was sitting there and with a proposal to roll it back because our eighth graders were not prepared for the transition to high school as much as their peers who were using an A to F system in middle school. This afternoon, I spoke personally with a teacher in Bloomington District 5. This is what he said regarding standards-based grading in his district. Quote, "We are going through the process of undoing the failed experiment in our district. We are back to actual grades." He went on to share how they developed a hybrid model that respects the value of standards-based assessment while using grade reporting that is more intuitive. We cannot underestimate the impact this will have on our students in a few years when all they've known is standards-based grading, and they suddenly get to high school where they're expected to understand percentage grading. High school is a difficult enough transition without adding the obstacle of learning a new grading system to the list. Teachers have concerns, principals have concerns, parents have concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is from Jessamine Hill. Did I say that right? Okay, Jessamine Hill. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everybody. The time is now. The 2025-2026 edition of the Central Illinois Homeschoolers Resource Guide is now available in print and digital format. The CIHRG now has a slogan, Connect with the Community. Our mission statement, to promote quality, responsible homeschooling tips and ideas and connect children with the community. Our vision, give homeschooled children and their families representation, a sense of belonging, equal opportunities, and a presence in the greater Peoria area. Here's what to expect in this year's edition: additional tips, suggestions, and ideas for getting started with homeschooling, a directory of educational supplies, textbook publishers, and internet-based curriculums, how to get a job, a driver's license, and register to vote, expanded volunteer opportunities, a list of city council and county board meetings with the times and locations listed for kids to learn about municipal civics and government and get experience on public speaking. An interview with a Central Illinoisan who is a former homeschooler and works in the arts and education. Those who are tuning in on the YouTube live stream and are interested in obtaining a digital copy, contact me, Jessamine Hill, at the following: jhill85713@gmail.com. That's JHILL85713@gmail.com. Put 2025 Homeschooling Green Book in the subject line and I'll send you a copy. The CIHRG is reminding you that April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. It sounds stereotypical, but domestic and child abuse happens behind closed doors in homeschool settings. Unlike their traditional counterparts, violence as well as academic neglect goes unreported. I should know because personally I went through it and so did my 9 siblings. So for those who know there is family violence and academic delinquency going on amongst loved ones, the CIHRG has contact information for DCFS, the Center for Prevention of Abuse, as well as the Regional Office of Education. Remember, if you see something, say something. Before the book went to press, it is announced that the Illinois General Assembly is proposing a House bill that will impact homeschooling in the land of Lincoln. House Bill 2827, the Homeschool Act. The provision of this bill consists of the following. Parents, guardians doing the teaching must have a high school diploma or equivalent, register with the school district, and submit an educational portfolio, allow dual enrollment, which is optional, for homeschoolers to attend public school, require immunizations and medical exams or religious exemptions if partaking in dual enrollment, and adherency to truancy laws. I included the link to the Illinois General Assembly on page 4 in the CIHRG. Another bill took effect immediately this year that allows homeschoolers to participate in public school sports. Information on SB Senate Bill 0096 is on page 4 of the resource guide. Please enjoy reading this year's edition of the CIHRG. I hope someday in the future we could collaborate and do a welcome homeschooler celebration. It would be a back to school type event where homeschoolers who are newly enrolling in Peoria Public Schools get to come on stage and introduce themselves to their future peers and teachers and talk about their experience learning at home, what their favorite subject is, favorite hobby, and what they want to be when they grow up. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to promote my resource guides at your meetings and for bringing to your attention House Bill 2827. Let's keep making a difference for all kids, plus make remarkable things happen every day.
Okay, I just want to say you just took a 5-minute commercial to, promote this, and not that I just want the audience and whoever's watching to be clear. It wasn't. We did not ask you to. You just took the privilege to just market this, which is okay. But thank you.
Oh, as always,
okay. Thank
public
you.
and private, they
Time
can
is
utilize
up.
it.
Yeah, thank you. Our next speaker presentation is from Tara Michaels. Thank you for being here.
Hello, good evening to everyone. My name is Tara Michaels, and I am a 5th and 6th grade teacher who's been part of the pilot. When I started serving on the standards-based grading committee 2 years ago, I was a little bit skeptical, but I was also really optimistic. I was super excited because I know the theory behind why standards-based grading can be so wonderful. My own students in another district, my own children rather, in another district, have it in their primary school, and I think it's great. I was hoping we could find a way to make it work for middle school. We've worked for the last 2 years to try to find a way to make this happen. But despite all of that, I have found that I've not found a way to make it work. You've heard a lot of the same concerns. We recognize the importance of using these standards and reporting that information. But as we started looking at the 4-3-2-1 grading scale, I found that instead of giving parents more information, it's gonna give them less. The biggest problem has to do with that 2. So you've heard a lot about the 4-3-2-1. Ms. Donath even explained that the 2 is this really wide thing. My students in the pilot who are getting 2s, I'm simultaneously grading them in the pilot and in traditional. And I have kids who are failing an assignment and kids who are getting a B on that assignment all earn a 2 on the standard. And I feel like as a parent, how do you know what that 2 means if you know it could mean anything from an F to a B? That is such a wide range that it feels like it defeats the purpose of getting that feedback. It's less feedback, not more. That's the biggest problem that I have found with it. Another thing with that 2 is that 2 also can mean with teacher support. So let's say a student does their best, right? They do their best and they get a 2 on that assignment, but they want to hit that 3 or that 4. They're like, can I make corrections? You know, and you're like, you want as a teacher to say, yes, you can make corrections. You know, revise your work. It's the most powerful way for them to learn, is to fix their mistakes, right? Under standards-based grading, yeah, they could do it. Their grade cannot go up beyond a 2 because they've had teacher feedback and teacher assistance to make that happen. So, and ideally, in an ideal world, a middle school student would still say, yes, okay, I'll fix my work, even if it won't change my grade. But their cognitive development just isn't there. They can't. They just can't. They can't think that long term. We know it's best for them. They're not going to do it. They're going to miss that learning opportunity. The only way for them to raise their grade is to start over on a brand new assessment, new topic, new assignment. And that's the only way. They don't get that chance to actually fix what was wrong. That's where the real magic of learning happens in the middle school, is when they're fixing those mistakes. They need the short-term victory. They need to see, oh, this time I brought my grade up from a D to a B, or I got 5 more points on that assignment. They need that validation to really understand it. I've been asking questions about how to fix this over the course of the last several months as we've been looking at it, and we haven't found a solution. You know, I've been reaching out, I've been asking, and basically what I've gotten back is, you tell us. You that they want me to tell them. They want me to give answers. But if I had the answer, I would. I just can't come up with a way to make it work. Even in the pilot, I have students who showed frustration with it, with saying, okay, but I still have a 2. I'm like, I know you still have a 2. In this system, you can't raise it. The other issue is with the standards and how we have to narrow it. We've talked about wanting to narrow the focus, to focus on the priority standards. The intention there, they say it's just adjust the grading, teach the way you've always taught. But we actually lose the flexibility to teach that way when we can only report grades on individual small skills, and we lose the ability to report grades on all the rest of it. Many of my projects that I assign in my classroom require the kids to use some real life application things. They're engaging, the kids have to be creative, they have to do wonderful, awesome things. I was looking at my project rubrics and going, okay, how can I translate this? And I found that most of that super creative, awesome parts of the projects they do could not be graded under a standards-based model. I could assign it, but the kids are going to find out real fast that they don't have to do that part. And that's when we lose the biggest things that we need to. I fully endorse doing some sort of hybrid model like has been suggested tonight. I just can't endorse going straight to standards-based grading the way it's currently laid out. Thank you.
Okay, we have Miss Tony Strong.
I'm using my timer. Can I use my timer? Otherwise, I'll get that bell done on me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the board secretary keeps the time.
I know, but then I have an idea of if I
Okay.
need to shut it off so I can finish my closing.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Board President McConnell, Vice President Dr. Wilson, board members, and Dr. Crott. My name is Tony Strong, Vice President of the Teachers Union, and I've come before you tonight to share feedback I gathered from PFT members who are members of the Middle School Standards-Based Grading Committee. My inquiries involve sending an email to all 39 members, so I will share their feedback. Approximately half of them responded, but some were combined by building. So even though I only got maybe half back, some people said, this is Rolling Acres all together instead of me getting multiple emails. The first question, which I asked Megan Davis because she is a middle school teacher and I am not, I'm high school. So I asked her to give me these questions, and I sent them out to all the members, and I blind copied everybody because I cannot stand when people reply all, and I also didn't want people to be influenced by other people's responses. How many years have you been on the committee? Respondents ranged from a semester to most that have been on the committee for 2 years. While there were some issues pointed out to me with retention recently, so they were trying to recruit new members because some just decided to stop coming and thought they could use their time better somewhere else. Comments included many that stated they joined to be involved, they loved the group, they learned a lot, it contained teachers who were very knowledgeable. Are you piloting? Most that responded participated in the pilot. Of those, one had just started this year. Other comments, I did use the materials. Skyward entered, but fizzled. I used the materials. I tried to keep going with Skyward, but I fizzled out. Yes, I participated, but I burnt out very quickly. Concerns. Questions. Were they answered? Were your questions and concerns answered? No. Too many questions have been asked. Quote, we will look at that. Quote, we will continue to problem solve, or go back to your individual schools and plan accordingly with their population. These are just more comments. We need solid plan before rollout. How are we going to deal with students not making progress? If we aren't going to change our system for the lack of learning, what's the point of this drastic shift? Too many things are still ambiguous. Recently, we created teacher feedback forms, and they really appreciated that they feel like there was a teacher feedback form that had just kind of gotten started. What will this look like for SPED students, high mobility students? Skyward is not best for standards-based grading. Teacher burnout, morale, worried about eligibility. Also, the town hall dates were sent out with less than a week notice. They were held via MS Teams. They blocked other people seeing other people's questions, and then whoever was in charge monitored which questions could be asked by the parents or the ones on the team meeting. There was a question I asked about the outline for progress reports per grade level. Currently, Skyward does not support standards-based grading efficiently. It's confusing to parents. We created learning progressions, and we're finishing this semester. So as you've heard, like, we're still working on things right now, but let's roll it out in July. Have not received my content area at all was another comment. Will it require more planning and grading? One person did say no. One person didn't think it was going to be much different, but for the most part, it's going to require additional grading time for the more cohesive system to share documents, samples, and growth. It's an unmanageable workload. Some teachers see 75 to 300 students, and if you're going to do it with authenticity, you have to create portfolios, extra tracking, reassessments, navigating eligibility. Yes, log each question on the test. So if they take a test and there's 3 objectives, you have to notate in Skyward or somewhere each objective and what they scored on it. So I'm not just going to score a 20-question test. You have to actually isolate the individual objectives from what I understand, unless you only test one objective. Students currently have a clear understanding of the importance of summative grades. Family access will no longer be a tool for the students to be held accountable, like for some of you that say that you do use that right now. What challenges do you foresee? The grading system would have to be implemented correctly. It's unmanageable workload again. If the district has no plans to implement it at the high school, then it's confusing and misleading to implement it at the middle school, and it's a disservice to students we are preparing for their future. I had another page, but I guess my last comment will just be, overall, I'm asking you to vote no. One thing that you can do in Skyward already is there's a place underneath the assignment, and there's no reason why you could not write the individual standards there for teachers or for parents to see what standards are not being met. And I think the key to success is communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any responses from the board to the audience? All right, thank you. Information items.
Response from the superintendent, isn't it?
Would you like to have a response?
Sure.
Okay.
I wanted to thank our 4 teachers and our parents who came out to provide feedback. We always appreciate the feedback, and we genuinely will review your comments. I thought there were some really good feedback and thoughts. And then again, as I said to the board and President McConnell, for transparency purposes, before any implementation, hopefully you guys will sleep well tonight, before any implementation regarding the transition to standards-based grading for middle school, I will have our board take action and share with us how they want us to proceed with the item in the strategic plan, okay? Thank you. Thank you, President McConnell.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion to approve minutes from February 10th, 2025?
Second.
Madam Secretary, for the roll. Mrs. Costick? Mrs. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Ivory?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Dr. Wilson?
Aye.
President McConnell?
Aye.
We have 7 ayes, motion carries. Thank you. Information items, superintendent update, financial update from Mr. Willis, and proposed expenditures over 2,500, and report of requests under the Freedom of Information Act. In that order, please. Thank you.
This is quick. Superintendent update. One of our board members mentioned WCTU wins the ProStats competition. We're very proud of them. This is their 9th year in a row. They have an amazing teacher, chef. We call her Chef Yeti. And I text her when I found out on Saturday, and I said, Chef, you're the driving force behind this. We heard about relationships, hard work, high expectations. That's her. And I know Board Member Rose also talked about they're having something on the 13th.
Yeah, everyone please join me on March 13th for the Woodruff Career and Technical Center lunch.
And then, thank you, March Madness has started, and we heard about Manual earlier. Have you gotten an update, President McConnell, about Peoria High? Okay, so we're celebrating them, and Peoria is doing very well with ProStat. Bradley did a really nice job as well. We're all sad they succumbed to Drake, but they had a great season. And of course, Manual and Peoria High, so we'll see what happens. And then Look, It's My Book. I just wanted to give them a shout out. They come to the schools and they raise a lot of money, and they're trying to get books in the hands of kids at no cost to us at all. They're going to be providing books to the Rise Academy on Tuesday, tomorrow. So, and I think one of our board members reminded our parents to help us by ensuring that the children are reading for 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes every day. They'll be super smart kids if you're able to do that. So thank you to Look, It's My Book, and their donors and board members. That's the extent, President McConnell. Was that quick?
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Willis, financial update.
Expenditures through March 10th totaled, revenue through March 10th totaled $170 million. That compares to $164 million reported in our last board meeting. Corporate personal property replacement taxes and evidence-based funding were the contributors to that difference between February 4th numbers, or February 24th numbers, and March 10th. On the expenditure side, we totaled $173.5 million. That compares to $158.7 million reported a couple of weeks ago. In terms of contributors, salary, benefits, and capital outlay spend were the drivers behind the difference between now and February 24. Receipts are 68.9% of budget, ahead of trend of that's 61.6% through March. Expenditures are 67.2% of budget. The trend is 66.8% through March. So we're both spending and receiving money at a little bit higher levels than we have in past years. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Any questions for Mr. Willis?
Expenditures over 2,500. Right, is that next?
That's next. Sure, I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have on those.
I have a question. Some of the larger expenditures, such as 277,000. Well, actually, it comes up to around 3 million. We talked about that in buildings and grounds meeting. Is this where the money is being spent for the floors, the bleachers and floors and that kind of thing for Manual, Richwoods, and Peoria High?
Yes.
Okay, so then my question is, will this be, has this been, this wasn't bidded out, it came under a different category, right?
Yes, we used the purchasing co-op that we're a member of to provide the materials for the gymnasium floor, for the seating, and then for the auditoriums, mainly because of concerns about delivery time and that kind of thing, and the level of coordination that is needed on that project to make sure that those are done over the summer.
So they have
One
a
is-
reasonable price as well?
The purchasing co-op goes through that bidding process for all of the items that are
Right.
listed on there.
I know we've used them in the past, and
Yeah.
sometimes they have a lot of change orders, that come up. In the past they have been. But I think one of the things we, as a committee, was looking at, concerned about was not just the committee, but to make sure that our architecture of record was part of, future amounts at this amount, future.
Sure,
Yeah.
they are aware of this project.
They're aware of it, but they didn't do the specs on any one of those.
Correct, because basically we were taking materials out, like the seating that's currently there, and putting new seating there, so there wasn't anything to design. And the same way with the floor, we basically are just taking up the old floor and then putting down, a replacement floor. So there wasn't anything for them. It's kind of like.
But don't they, somebody still has to sign off on it, so I just want to we can talk about it at the
Sure.
next meeting.
Okay. President McConnell, would you like me to present the FOIA report?
Yes, please.
You're welcome. Since our board meeting on February 24th, we have received one new request, and there were 0 requests pending on February 24th. There is one total request currently open. So to date, since January 1st, we have received 8 requests for the 2025 calendar year at a total cost of $400. Thank you, President McConnell.
All right, thank you. Consent agenda items. Vice
Yes.
President Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, President McConnell. The consent agenda consists of the following items. Item number 1, gifts to school district. Item number 2, payment of bills. Item number 3, payment for travel. Item number 4, human resource report. Item number 5, Peoria High Gymnasium abatement project. Item number 6, manual track replacement project. Item number 7, dismissal of first, second, or third year probationary teachers for reasons other than reduction in force. Item number 8, IHSA membership renewal. Item number 9, overnight field trip, Peoria High School, varsity cheerleaders camp. Item number 10, overnight field trip, Richwoods Motto Unman Motto UNMUN XX11 conference. Item number 11, field trip, Richwoods High School, Tennessee. Item number 12, overnight field trip, Manual High School boys varsity basketball team. Item number 13, field trip approval, Annie Jo Gordon and Elise Ford Allen Full Service Community Schools Ready, Set, Go grant program, family engagement. And that is the entirety of the consent agenda.
Okay, board, is there any item that anyone would like to pull for discussion and separate vote? Okay, may I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Madam Secretary, ready for the roll call. Mrs. Costick? Aye. Mrs. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Ivory? Aye. Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Dr. Wilson?
Aye.
President McConnell? Aye. We have 7 ayes, motion carries. Thank you. Deliberation, discipline?
Deliberation agenda, item number 14, revocation of expulsions held in abeyance. Proposed action is that the Board of Education approve revocation of expulsions held in abeyance listed on the report dated March 10th, 2025, be approved as presented.
Second.
Okay, Madam Secretary for the roll. Mrs. Costick? Mrs. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Ivory?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Dr. Wilson?
Aye.
President McConnell? Aye. We have 7 ayes, motion carries.
Number 15, expulsions with the expulsions held in abeyance. Proposed action is that the Board of Education approve expulsions with the expulsions held in abeyance listed on the report dated March 10th, 2025, be approved as presented.
Second.
Madam Secretary for the roll. Mrs. Costick? Aye. Mrs. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Ivory?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Dr. Wilson?
Aye.
President McConnell? Aye. We have 7 ayes, motion carries.
Number 16, expulsions. The proposed action is that the Board of Education approve the expulsion listed on the report dated March 10th, 2025, be approved as presented.
Second.
Madam Secretary for the roll. Mrs. Costick? Mrs. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Ivory?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Dr. Wilson?
Aye.
President McConnell? Aye. We have 7 ayes, motion carries. Thank you. Any presentations or suggestions by board members? Reports from board committees?
The Behavioral Intervention Committee needed to reschedule, so it meets on Thursday, March 20th at 7 p.m. virtually.
Okay.
The policy committee will get a date sent out here shortly, the next couple of days.
Buildings and ground?
We will set a meeting date within the next few days.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam President, I think we
Yes.
also have the procurement meeting scheduled for the 19th of this month.
On the 19th? The 20th. On the 20th
The
of this
20th,
month.
okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, 3:20. Anything else before us tonight? Motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Thank you.